All right, what is up? Happy Friday, everybody. So some of you guys may consider the topic I'm about to discuss to be somewhat controversial. Yeah, I'm going to talk about are men smarter than women? Yeah, let's talk about this chess conundrum or paradox, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I'm not going to just cover the international chess. That's what they call it in China because it's not so common. I've only recently, by the way, I don't want to make something clear. I'm not a chess grandmaster or anything, but yeah, I do know how to play chess. I've played chess since I was a kid, but the chess I played was the Chinese chess, and I just recently learned the international chess. With the king, queen, bishop. The rules are actually quite similar. I found it to be very interesting because in the Chinese chess, we also have a piece. It's called the ma, which is the knight. Yes, you also have two pieces of the rook. So but here's something that's quite different. So in the international chess, you have a queen, right? You get one queen, and the queen can hop to any part of the board. I find that to be very interesting. But here's the thing: if your queen gets taken out, it doesn't really matter that much, right? You can still win the game. And in the cases, right, if you have a pawn, if you keep pushing it to the end of the board, you can promote it to a new queen. And honestly, I think, the same principle applies in real life. As a man, if you want to succeed, you're like the king on the chessboard. You can only move one piece at a time, right? It takes a very, very long time. You have to grind away for so many years in order to build success, in order to build generational wealth. But for a woman, right, the vast majority of the women, after they turn 18, they have unlimited number of options. You see, it's very interesting on the chessboard. If your queen gets taken out, or it gets forked, or it gets sacrificed, right, it can be replaced by a new queen, right? A new pawn can be promoted, but you only get one king. That's it. So yeah, if you look at all of the chess grandmasters worldwide, all right, the two most famous ones, obviously, so right now will be Magnus Carlsen and also Hikaru Nakamura, so the top two in the world. It's very interesting. If you go down the list of all the chess grandmasters, there are virtually no women. Here's something that's quite interesting. So in fact, in order to compensate for this, I think this is a total DEI scam, right? There's a lower ELO score requirement for a woman to become a grandmaster, right? So for a man, the score is 2,500 for you to be considered a grandmaster, and the score for women is lowered to 2,300. So you think, 200 points, that's not too big of a deal? Well, it makes a world of difference. For example, someone with a score of 2,500, imagine, right, let's say if you watch track and field, if you watch long distance running, right, if you watch the marathon, right, the half marathon, 10K, 5K, what do you see at the Olympics or the World Championships? You see a bunch of super skinny black guys, right, mostly from East Africa, dominating all of these events. So let's say, that's someone who's a grandmaster in running with a score of 2,500. 2,300, sure. I mean, someone with a score of 2,300 can go to any pub, any bar all across America, across Canada, across UK, and they're guaranteed to win in a random chess match pretty much every single time if you have a score of 2,300. However, right, so imagine, let's say if you put this into the runner's perspective. So this is the equivalent of, some skinny white guy, some at a local run club, he runs for a local university or a college, he's pretty fast. He can show up to a local event of, 300 runners, and he's guaranteed to win or at least finish top three every single time. But what if you put this guy on the world stage against, the fastest East Africans in the 1,500 meters, in the 10K, in the marathon? The guy will get destroyed. That is a world of difference, be it from 2,300 to 2,500. So yeah, how come, very, very few women can actually dominate chess, right? How come there are so few women's grandmasters that they have to lower the scores? Is this saying that, men are smarter than women? In fact, you can take this one step further. So lately there's been a lot of trans insanity, right? The 2S, LGBTQ, NAI++. You see these biological men who are saying that, oh, I identify as a woman, and they're being allowed into these female-only spaces, female locker rooms, female washrooms, and the females-only sports. But however, the International Chess Federation, they ban men from competing against women. So let me make that rule clear. So for example, if there's a open chess tournament, right, the open ranking tournament anywhere in the world, right, where you have a mixed gender category, yes, the man, they cannot stop these women from coming into these tournaments to compete with other men. But however, they're specifically designated, just female only chess matches, right? Where only women can compete with other women, and men are not allowed to enter these events. And so it's obviously an event like basketball or volleyball or track and field. Yes, men are physically stronger, men can jump higher, men are taller, right? Men have a higher bone density. But how come, in an event like chess, where it's 100% tactical, it's all about using the power of your brain. So how come, yeah, man and woman needs to be separated into two categories, and there's a different scoring requirement for male and female grandmasters in chess? Well, to be honest with you guys, I don't think it is because men are smarter than women. I think we have all been lied to since day one. The reason why this is happening is because, well, there are biological differences between man and woman, not just physical. You can obviously look at me, you say, oh, obviously this is a dude. There's no way, that's a woman. So, and the vice versa is also true, but gender lives in the brain. So, yeah, a great example is look at these universities. They're pushing these DEI agendas. They're saying that we need more women in STEM, more women in STEM. But the reality is, right, look at all of the applicants. Look at the Scandinavian countries, right? They're the ones who are pushing this the hardest. They say that we need more female engineers, more female engineers. But every single year in these STEM programs, roughly 95% of the applicants are men. Men are interested in something and the women are interested in something else. So for example, what is something that is common that women like to say when they have a day off, right? They'll say, hey ladies, let's go shopping. When was the last time you heard a guy say that? Hey, listen ladies, if your guy is out there saying that, oh, let's go shopping. Well, ladies, I have a very dire warning for you. That is not your man. Men or women are very, very different. And part of the reason why, almost all the grandmasters worldwide are men is because, well, very few women are genuinely interested in chess. Men have a very specific set of skills and the women have a very specific set of skills. Right? The reason why you almost never see a female engineer is because, well, women are just simply not interested in these things. How can you become a grandmaster and dominate everybody else in the world if you have barely any interest in the event, right? So, for example, right, if you look at construction, all these feminists, right, none of them say, oh, I want to work at an oil rig. Or none of them say, oh, I want to work at a construction site. And none of them say, oh, I want to drive a garbage truck or something, right? So, men are genuinely passionate about these things, right? Especially, when these men, when they get assigned to a brand new project, they're looking at this empty parking lot, and their goal is that, 6 months from now, this is going to be complete. There's going to be a brand new shopping center in the middle of the city. And once that project is completed, all of these men, they're just so proud of themselves. They're just filled with joy. They're filled with fulfillment. They're filled with happiness. It's not the same for women. And this is why you cannot force, women to come into men's spaces, and the vice versa is true. You cannot force men to come into women's spaces. So I'll tell you guys one of the biggest differences between man and woman. How do you know if two guys are best friends, right? Imagine these guys, they're going to the grocery store, right? They're getting some seafood. You guys have seen those fish tanks at these grocery stores, so in the seafood section, and there's like a really ugly ass looking fish. It's going like, ma, ma, ba, 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 ba. How do you know if two guys are best friends, right? One guy, let's say, guy number one's Jake, guy number two is Jonathan. Jake is going to tell Jonathan, he's going to tell him, oh, look that ugly ass looking fish in the tank. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You, dude, that's you, man. That is so freaking ugly. There's like ugly and there's like mad ugly. Dude, you're so freaking ugly, man. You look just like that fish, man. Dude, why are you so ugly? Yeah, that's the biggest difference between man and woman. That's why gender lives in the brain. You will never ever see a woman do that. Imagine, two women, right, just a girls' night out, and they're just chilling, right, and they're watching, let's say, I don't know, National Geographic, and they're watching this documentary, and they see a pack of hyenas. I mean, hyenas are pretty ugly. They're like, yeah. So imagine, yeah, if these two ladies on a girls' night out, they're watching a documentary, right, on these hyenas in the Serengeti, and let's say girl number one is Rachel, and the girl number two is Monica, and Rachel sees this ugly ass hyena, and she's going to tell Monica, "Oh my God, Monica, you are so freaking ugly. Look at the hyena; it's drooling like this." Oh, that's you, Monica. That's you. You're so freaking ugly. You're like the ugliest woman I've ever seen. You will never, ever see that scenario in your life. It doesn't matter where you live, okay? It doesn't matter if you live in Canada, United States, China, Japan, Norway, Sweden, Finland. You will never, ever see that kind of behavior from women. Because, yeah, let's say if these two women, they're best friends, they've been best friends for 20 years. If an incident like that between, Rachel and Monica happened, where Rachel said that her best friend Monica looks like a hyena, well, in the best case scenario, that is the end of a 20-year friendship. And in the worst case scenario, well, Rachel is going to get murdered. That is the biggest difference between man and woman. And that is why, men continue to dominate chess. And where the International Chess Federation, they have to lower the ELO score by 200 points so that there can actually be some women's grandmasters. Or else there will be no elite women players in chess. Because in order to become a grandmaster at something like chess, you have to keep on grinding away for countless numbers of hours. These men, they're willing to sit there on the chessboard and stare at the empty board for 10 hours every single day for an entire year. They're willing to sit outside in the rain, analyzing every single attack, analyzing every single defense, analyzing every single pattern. Yes, of course, they're decent female chess players, but the vast majority of women who play chess worldwide, they don't have that kind of interest. They don't have that kind of dedication. For them, it's just a casual hobby. But there's a certain percentage of men that they will take these chess sports, they will take all of these attack patterns, all of these scenarios into the next level. They will grind away at their game for years, for decades. They will dedicate their entire lives just to study this chess game. So that is why, almost all of the grandmasters worldwide are men. It's just like I mentioned this previously about Daoism, right? Honestly, I think, yeah, we need to bring back these ideologies. Daoism is the oldest religion in China, and Daoism so that's the one with the circle with the black and the white side, yin and the yang. And Daoism tells you that, I'm being 100% honest, I did not make this up. So the yang, that is the light side, represents man. Man represent all of the positives in this world, okay? And the yin, which is the black side, the dark side, that represents woman. Woman represents all the negatives in this world. So you have a positive and negative. Man and woman are meant to complement each other. So I know a lot of you guys might be thinking, oh, that's really misogynistic. I did not make up that concept, okay? That's the oldest religion in China. Yes, yeah, according to Daoism, men are like the fire, women are like the ice. Men have all the positive emotions and women have all the negative emotions. That's why a man and woman complete each other. That's why, all of these women, right, in 2025, you ask them, what do they look for in a guy other than being tall, rich, and good looking? Almost all of them say that, a man's got to have riz, right? Riz, so short form for charisma. You have to have game because, yeah, the vast majority of women, they're just filled naturally with a lot of negative emotions. And as a man, you have to be the positive in the relationship and the marriage because, right, according to Daoism, right, if the woman, they're the darkness, if they are the yin, right, if they're all the negatives, that means that you have to be on the polar opposite because if you're also on this side of the spectrum, you have two negatives going at it in a relationship or marriage, well then that relationship or marriage has no chance. That's why lesbian marriages also have the highest divorce rates because, yeah, you have two yins, you have two negatives and two darknesses. There's no light, right? So man need woman and the woman need man. You have to keep that in mind. Gender lives in the brain. We're 100% different. And that is why, modern feminism in 2025, which I think has nothing to do with the original concept of feminism, has been hijacked, it has been radicalized. It keeps telling all these modern young women, that's why they're so unhappy all the time. They keep telling all these young women, oh, women can be equal to men. No, women will always be different than men. Men are not better than women. Women are not better than men. We're just simply different. And when you try to make man and woman all the same, you're going to end up with disaster. You end up with cases like Sophie Ring, like Lily Phillips, like Bonnie Blue. Women are not happy anymore. Women are more miserable than ever before. Well, this is because, well, in the 21st century, marriage rates are dropping to an all-time low, and the birth rates are dropping to an all-time low in almost every single developed country. If you're a woman, right, by the time you reach the age of 28, 30, 32, 34, if you're still single, childless, and unmarried, you're going to be absolutely miserable. The evidence are overwhelming. Women are the happiest when they're married with children. There's no disputing that. As a matter of fact, right, look at all these single, independent career women. So what are some of the most popular career professions these women are pursuing? Yeah, so many of these women, they want to become HR managers. Why do women want to become HR managers so bad? Personally, I'm 33 years old. I have never ever seen a man anywhere in China or Canada say that, oh, they want to become an HR manager. How come all of the women want to do it? Well, it's because they're cosplaying as a mom at the workplace. Really, really think about that. Women are biologically driven to become mothers. They want to get married. They want to have children. That's why all of these single, career independent women are so miserable all the time. Because once again, gender lives in the brain. Really, really think about it, right? Yeah, why do so many women want to become HR managers at work so bad? Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video and watching it all the way until the very end. If you guys have enjoyed the contents of this video, please consider subscribing to this channel. Like the video, leave a comment, and turn on the notification button. I will be going live on this channel on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will see you guys then.